Hi everyone, and welcome to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. Today we are at Grimey's Records in Nashville, Tennessee with actress Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa just scoured the aisles of this amazing shop to find her top 5 vinyl, and now we're going to sit down and take a look at her picks on Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. Hey guys, welcome to Vinyl Obsession. I'm your host, Eric Young, and this is Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart is an actress, producer, and director. She starred in the sitcom Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And a fun fact, she was named after the Almond Brothers band song, Melissa. We gave you a difficult task for sure.
You did.
Of picking your top 5 vinyl albums. Yeah. And for me, and I've said this on every show, is if you ask me today, maybe the list is different, but you made it through it. Proud of you. I always believed that you would get through it.
I tried.
Yeah, and I like that you hadn't been in a record store in a while.
It's been a minute for sure, and I think this is confirming the fact that my friends have been saying that I have ADHD, and I'm like, no, I don't. Now I'm like, I think I do.
This place could give it to you because it's amazing.
There's so much to look at, from books to vinyl to cassettes. Like, this is insane. I love it.
We talked a little bit when you first came in about Grimey's. This is an iconic store in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. And this is, I travel all over the place. I go to record stores everywhere I go. I own over 2,000 albums. Wow. And this is one of my favorort in the world.
Really?
So if you're going to start your adventure, this is the one to start.
That's awesome. That's great to know.
Yeah. All right. So top 5.
You want me to start pulling them out?
I'm impressed by the list, but we're going to go through it. Let's go through it. No particular order. You can just pull them out as you pull them.
Okay.
Vinyl number 1.
Let's see. What do we got? Oh, first we got Madonna, True Blue. So this, Papa Don't Preach, and for this album, there's a lot of music videos that go along with this, right?
Right.
A lot of.
So you get visual images. In your head.
Feel like it's the visual images that really. Where's the Party? True Blue, La Isla Bonita was a big one when I was little. It just felt sexy and there I was my little 10-year-old self being like, La Isla Bonita. I'm speaking another language. It just felt like
very cultural.
Yeah. I felt very cultured, and Madonna was teaching me something. Super excited about this one because, to be honest, I don't think I ever had Madonna on vinyl. It was always my dad's music was always sort of on vinyl, and then I remember Pearl Jam being on vinyl. So to have a Madonna on vinyl, I don't even know this existed. So here it is.
It's cool that everything now is, almost every band is releasing it on vinyl. I believe I read it in 2017, it overtook CDs for being the most prominent physical way to buy music other than digital.
Yes, of course.
There is something amazing about digital. It's easy. You have access to everything, which,
Well, and if one format had to survive, I'm glad it's vinyl, because who needs a CD or cassettes? I don't need to stick my pencil in and twist that thing anymore, do a little surgery. But vinyl, there's something so cathartic about putting the needle down, not scratching it.
Yep.
Putting the needle down gently, sitting there and listening to it. I just feel like you get, it takes you into the space of you're ready to, it's almost like you're playing the music in a way. You're putting it on. You're not just push and play or finding it on your phone and clicking. Yep. It's just there's a more a bigger experience, bigger emotional.
It's very visceral. It's weighted. Yeah. I always liken it to it's ritualistic. Yes. And there's something cool for human beings. I don't know if that's what drew me to it originally, but part of it is that selecting which one and pulling it out of my case. Yeah. And pulling the vinyl out carefully and setting it on the turntable. And
then the artwork too, just laying there, listening to the music, but also as you're listening, you kind of want something visual. So you're you'd either get up and do something clean the house, clean your bedroom, whatever, or you're staring at the artwork and just imagining her singing it, or
reading the lyrics.
Ugh, I miss reading the lyrics. I swear I don't even know these days. I don't know what songs come off what albums.
Right.
I don't know the song titles a lot of the time. I don't know that. So I feel a little bit dumb when I'm with my kids and they're like, what's this song? I'm like, oh, this is that song that goes blah 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 blah. Instead of saying, oh, this is this song from this album.
Right.
I have to go way back to know that kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're almost being retrained in a way. People release music with singles. That's how it's released now. But now albums are becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of listening to vinyl albums is hearing songs on there that you wouldn't hear that weren't played on the radio.
Yes.
That are amazing. So look on the back of that Madonna album and pick a song that maybe an average person who knows who Madonna is, but wouldn't know that song, and they should listen to it.
Ooh. Live to Tell.
Live to Tell.
Live to Tell,
Not one that's played on the radio.
Yeah.
Not a famous song of hers.
La Isla Bonita, I think, was that too. I don't think it was played on the radio, but
Right.
everybody kind of knew it. I think probably for the same reason. Just it was different. You had to learn the
Totally
language
different.
in a way and
Yeah.
try to figure out what she's saying. It was a
She's
little
so
bit
singular,
coded.
right? Madonna.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, this was a massive hit for
Massive.
her. And put her on even footing with Michael Jackson and Prince. And that, at that time, for a woman to be on even footing was an amazing thing.
Yeah, for sure. She, yeah, I mean, I don't know, was she titled the Queen of Pop when Michael Jackson was the King of Pop? Like, I feel like
Yep.
they would have been well matched. Although
Yes.
he did end up marrying like Lisa Marie Presley, so that was well matched too.
Yeah, very well matched. All right, great choice, great choice. Vinyl number 2.
Beasty Boys, License to Ill. There's so many Beastie Boys songs that aren't on this too that I
Yep.
love. Like,
This is their first studio record.
yeah, this has got, oh my gosh, remind me what, I don't even remember what songs are on here, but I just know that this is my favorite album of theirs. But there's so many, like Sabotage and What You Want.
Yep.
What You Want is like, that.
It's a jam.
I love that song
Yeah.
so much. I know every word to that. I mean, I know every word to almost all their songs, but of course you've got like, I mean, Fight for Your Right to Party and Girls.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I have a bracelet that says that. I should have worn it. But yeah, it's funny though, because I like to say that like things hit different when you're a parent, and
Right.
the song Girls hits a little different now that I'm a parent.
Right.
And I have 3 boys that I'm raising, and I'm like, don't listen to that Beastie Boys
Right.
song. You
We'll
can
just
listen to
take that
Fight
one
for Your
off.
Right to Party, but you cannot listen to Girl.
And the cool thing about music, how it can transport you, right? It's a time machine. And try to think back to the first time you heard Beastie Boys.
Oh, yeah.
When will that be, and what do you remember about that?
It was definitely Fight for Your Right to Party.
Yep.
It was like 1980 something when it just came out. I lived in New York, so of course they're playing it all the time. I mean,
Everywhere.
when you go to California, you hear Red Hot Chili Peppers all the time. When you're in New York, you hear Beastie Boys.
Yep.
Yeah, just hearing that song and being like, you know, it felt so rebellious. And
Yep.
if you listen to the lyrics now, it's sort of benign in a way, right? But they're like, yeah, you know, I don't know, just things
The
like
sound of
you
it,
think
it's
about
like
like
an
the
anthem.
porn, like he says something about finding dad's porno stash or
Yep.
something, right? And smoking a cigarette, but he smokes a whole pack or whatever. So it's just fun. It was like it felt a little rebellious and a little dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. And they broke the rules, right?
They
like
did,
it's
yeah.
3
Singing
Jewish
about things.
white guys
Oh,
from,
yeah.
from New York
Doing rap.
doing
Absolutely.
hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I've said this before, it was a gateway into hip hop, and it made
Yeah.
it accessible to me. I'm this white chubby kid from middle nowhere Canada, and that made hip hop
Yeah.
and rap accessible to me. And I mean, I found all these other amazing
That's
artists
really
through
interesting.
that.
I guess I hadn't really thought about it in those terms. But yeah, you know, it was the first time I felt like I really maybe well, at the time I was listening to a lot of like Tribe Called Quest and Farside and stuff
Awesome.
like that too, I think, around about the same time.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit later. It was definitely later than Beastie
Though
Boys.
it's not
but-
as
but
available
you're right,
in
like,
Canada for me.
No.
Yeah. The Beastie Boys is a huge gateway for me.
Yeah.
Amazing choice, amazing album.
It's funny because that's what I was named after, because my father could play that song on guitar.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's sort of why I was named Melissa.
This is Vinyl Obsession, the podcast, and we're back with actress Melissa Joan Hart. Vinyl number 3.
All right, this is from my childhood, and this is the Almond Brothers, Eat a Peach. It's got some great songs on here, but I think some of my favorites are like, I think Melissa is on here, Sweet Melissa. What? It's not the name of the song. The song's just Melissa, but everybody thinks of it as Sweet Melissa. But it's funny because that's what I was named after, because my father could play that song on guitar.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's sort of why I was named Melissa. Very much because of the song. And I think if you find anyone from 1976 that was born named Melissa, it's because of this album.
Yep, it makes sense.
It's not a very big name anymore or ever since, but I think it's because of this album that Melissa became a popular name. But they also had songs called Jessica and Elizabeth Reed. So there's a lot of sort of names that come from this song, which is interesting to me. But I think Whipping Post is probably my all-time favorite.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
Classic Southern rock. Like,
Yeah.
if I think about Southern rock, that's the first thing I think about.
Really?
First
Well, so
thing.
what's funny is I married a boy from Alabama, and of course, Leonard Skinner, like you can't think of Alabama without Sweet Home
He's
Alabama.
right there, 1A, 1B.
So so you've got Sweet Home Alabama, and then you got Sweet Melissa. So it just made sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. That's another great choice. So think about your father playing that on guitar. That's part of it too, right? The nostalgia is such a powerful drug.
Yeah.
So that's that sound of the Almond Brothers, the sound of that album is part of your childhood.
It is, and I was lucky enough to go see them play when there were still a few more members in the band a while back. But they're just one of those bands that I'm not big into like going to concerts and stuff unless I know all the songs. But when I went to see them play and they just jammed out, I mean, and then of course they get to the songs, but they were just jammed in between. That was one of the best experiences for me with music, because as someone who wasn't really, I'm not a person that has to have music on all the time. And so for that reason, I don't love to go to concerts. But this kind of created a new respect for me when I went to see them play live. So they hold a big place in my heart for sure. Especially because it's the one thing that like kind of connects me to my father.
Right. Yeah.
Which there isn't a lot that connects me to my father, but this does. Yeah. And I just remember this album so well. Like this is exactly what it looked like. I mean, this is a remastered one, but this is exactly what it looked like. Yeah, and with the watermelon on the back. So you got the peach on the front and the watermelon on the back.
Now, are you drawn to that? Like even new music? Like when you were flipping through up there, was there certain covers you saw and you're like, I don't even know what this is, but I got to pick it up and look at it?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah. I think art is a big thing with the vinyls because it's also so big, it gets your attention. Like, I want to frame this.
Yeah, the CD's like this, and you can see
I might give the disc to my father or my son, but I'm going to keep this frame. Like,
yeah, that's awesome. It's another great selection. I like that. I mean, those three albums couldn't be more different.
Yeah,
right?
that's
really,
true. That's true.
The first three more different, and that's an amazing list.
Every once in a while, he brings my husband up on stage to sing too. So
cool.
It's like personal for us, but it's also something we like. This is one of my favorite. I will listen to all their songs. Like I love all their songs.
Welcome back to Final Obsession, the podcast. Today we have actress Melissa Joan Hart talking about her top 5 vinyl. All right, on to the next one.
All right.
Vinyl number 4.
Here we go. We're gonna change it up again. Let's go with Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah.
So this is Aura, just because there wasn't Saturate, but Saturate is my favorite. I think it's their first album, Saturate, and it's just something that I learned about through my husband. He was touring at the time. He was in a band called Course of Nature, and they were looking for opening acts, and they were listening to all these demos. So we listened to a Breaking Benjamin demo. Actually, I guess it was Saturate. And we became obsessed with it. We listened to it all the time when he was on tour and whenever we were together in the beginning of our relationship. Breaking Benjamin was a big album that we played a lot on long car rides and whatnot. And then we ended up meeting Ben and kind of hanging out with him all around the country, all different kind of running into him on tours and in all different places. I've seen him play in Atlanta and LA and Nashville, of course, and I think Birmingham, Alabama. I've seen him play, or Huntsville. Seen him play some places, and every once in a while he brings my husband up on stage to sing too. So cool. It's like personal for us, but it's also something we like. This is one of my favorite. I will listen to all their songs. Like I love all their songs. So Cold, a lot of people know, is like the most famous one because it was from I think Hellraiser movie. Yep. And then it was also one. He has some songs on video games and stuff. So a lot of people know them from that. But I think it's one of the last true good recent rock bands.
Right.
I feel like rock is fading in such a way that there's not a lot of rock bands anymore. I mean, I can say that Shinedown's most recent album, Planet Zero, is probably one of my favorite, like, besides Saturate, like, one of these albums that I can listen to all the way through.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen that often anymore. Foo Fighters, too. Like, there's some people still holding on to the rock genre, and they're one of them,
They're one of them. And it's neat how that relationship starts before you meet him, and it's this personal connection. You hear their debut album and you're like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You and your husband are listening to it all the time. Now you're touring together. Now you have this also personal connection on top of it. Right. So it's neat how the world
to know about him, to know like where his inspirations come from too, because he's like tattooed with like Nirvana and
the circle of life.
He's afraid of flying, so he won't. That's why he doesn't tour a lot. Like overseas, he takes boats, and to know some of these things, like he'll travel around by bus, but he doesn't even like that very much. Yeah. So it took a lot for him to go out on tour. So when he does tour, you got to appreciate it. You got to go.
And I think they just announced they're touring with Green Day and Rancid. And
they were touring with Bush for a minute, right? They announced that. We actually went to see Korn perform in Reno. Oh yeah, so I saw him perform in Reno recently. He was opening with Korn, and he announced Gavin Rossdale walked on stage and said that they were going to tour together, and then the world shut down with the pandemic. So
Yep.
I actually missed when they came through with Bush, but 'cause that's like putting two of my favorites together.
Yeah, it's excellent pick.
But
Excellent choice.
I'm excited to see them next time they come through for sure. That one was disturbing in concert
I'm
because
sure.
they would project animals rotting,
Yeah,
and that
such
was
an
a little.
amazing cover.
I was like, oh, I know it was an amazing. Well, you mean Johnny Cash's cover of it?
Yes. Welcome back to Vinyl Obsession, the podcast. We're taking a look at Melissa Joan Hart's top vinyl picks. Last but not least, vinyl number 5.
Last is this is this is kind of the one I think no one would expect from me. This is Pretty Hate Machine by 9 Inch Nails.
Yep.
It's just this in my high school years played not on vinyl. It must have been CD or maybe tape on my cassette tape. I had the Pretty Hate Machine, and I went to see them 3 times on tour in like 1994 or something.
At the Pinnacle.
Sorry?
They're at the Pinnacle.
At the Pinnacle,
right?
yeah. They were.
This is-
Marilyn Manson was opening for them,
Yep.
which I didn't like Marilyn Manson, so I would always go late to the concerts
Okay.
because I did not want to see Marilyn Manson.
We'll just avoid that.
Was not a fan of his for some reason. And I will say, what's the song? Hurt.
Yeah.
When he started doing Hurt, that one was disturbing in concert
I'm
because
sure.
they would project animals rotting,
Yeah.
and that
Such
was a
an
little.
amazing cover.
I was like, oh, I know it was an amazing. Well, you mean Johnny Cash's cover of it?
Yes.
That was amazing,
Yes.
but that song, I love that song, but my sister is always like, it's like nails on a chalkboard for her.
And
But
now you have the images in your head
Yes.
from the concert.
yeah, you have the decomposing animals. But I do love, oh my gosh, Terrible Lie is probably one of my favorites. Down in It is just like, I mean, Sanctified. It's such a good album.
Yeah.
This played
And nostalgia
on a
for
loop
you, like
for
you
me.
said, right?
Yeah.
High school times. This is, you're leaning into this new music. And Trent Reznor at the time, like, I mean, he's the first person using samples and electronic music.
all that
in
industrial
rock and roll
sound.
music. Yeah, and
adding
that-
industrial.
It's the first time I had heard anything like it. I know there's
Yeah.
other bands that did it, but for me, my introduction to that kind of music was through 9 Inch Nails and
Yeah.
Trent Reznor. And it's so singular. Like, if you hear 5 seconds of a
What
9
did we
Inch
call
Nails
it back
song,
then, though? It was like, and there was that industrial sound, but it was more like, not emo. Was that emo?
they just,
didn't-
I mean, I think it fell into the alternative rock.
Alternative,
but
yeah.
it wasn't.
Alt, yeah.
It wasn't that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that was like people wanted an umbrella to put Nirvana and Soundgarden and Foo Fighters. I mean, Soundgarden and Foo Fighters.
Well, that was more
are-
grunge, right?
Yes.
That was like in the grunge, and
Yep.
9 Inch Nails definitely didn't fit in the grunge, and
Nope.
it wasn't like heavy metal.
It's
So
singular.
It really is.
It really is. Right.
And it's just so fun. And I think someone gave me or I found a car freshener, air freshener thing that had the NIN on it.
Yep.
And instead of bumper sticker, I thought it was so cool to just hang it from my rearview mirror. But
badge.
I got made fun of a lot for that. And my husband and when I met my husband, he was my boyfriend and my roommate at the time. Anytime they'd borrow my car, I'd always find the 9 Inch Nails like down. I'd be like, if you're gonna drive my car, you leave the 9 Inch Nails up. And I get so mad at them.
Flying that flag proudly.
Yes.
I'm a
I'm
9
like,
Inch
this
Nails
is
fan.
my band.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't really listen to it anymore. I'm like, I did burn out on it a little bit. I
Sure.
did listen to it a lot, but
Can
it's like
happen
one of
always.
those I have to have in my collection because it's like, soundtrack of my life right
Yep.
here.
Yep. And that's the cool thing of vinyl's resurgence, right? Is finding those old albums. I started innocently in it, I had 10 or 20, and my parents gave me, their 180 albums. I have a Bob Dylan album that's older than me. And it looks
Wow,
like it was
yeah.
drugged behind a truck on a
Yeah.
gravel road, and it still plays.
Yeah.
Right? It's the durability of it, it's the sound of it, the warmth of it.
Well, and the thing is, when the robots take over and all of our streaming music disappears, we will have
it's
these.
still going to be there.
So
Yeah. Someone will figure
when
it
they
out.
decide that music's not good for us and they take it away from us, we'll still have these.
That's right. Yeah, and it's a cool thing to come back. It was cool to be here with you, to see you walking the aisles for the first time in a record store.
Yeah.
Who knows
so
how long?
fun. I did so much Christmas shopping.
It's very
Birthday
cool.
shopping for myself.
The addiction begins. I started innocently enough with 20 or 30. I have over 2,000.
Well,
So don't
I'll send
get-
you the bill.
Okay. That's awesome. What do you got going on? You can plug anything right now.
Yeah.
Anything that you got going on, please let the people know.
Well, I have a podcast called What Women Binge, and I'm having a ton of fun with that. And I'm a producer, director, and obviously actor. But my company, Heartbreak Films, we have a lot of things going on there. But I did recently have a true crime movie on the air on a network that I work on a lot that ends with time and starts with life. So that.
Well played. Well played.
I played a grandma in it. So funny enough, I didn't get to do any press around it, which might be good because I don't know that I want anyone to know I really played a grandma. But I had a lot of fun playing like a more mature woman who's, it was told from 3 points of view, from me, my daughter, and my granddaughter.
Yep.
And we all sort of tell the story of like how this man died in our house and who did it.
Very cool.
So it was fun.
Very cool. Well, everybody, that was Vinyl Obsession. I'm Eric Young. She's Melissa Joan Hart. She is now obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'll see you guys later.